So today we are interviewing two unique individuals. With Chad Deere from 4T4 Racing and Austin from Cannon Recovery. So Chad, you're up first. 4T4 is a racing team.
Yes, sir, it's a racing team. We developed about two and a half years ago. What it was, I've been around racing for about 15 years out of Gator Motorplex before they closed down. My best friend and I built cars together, sponsored the track out there. And unfortunately, he passed away in a car accident one day. I kind of inquired his kids, raising them, kind of thing. He wanted to get back into racing. That's how he remembered his dad the most, was growing up, working on race cars. So the first car we built was for him, Joshua. That's where the 4T4 comes from. The 44 is his football number from high school. The T is his father's first initial, Tom. And then, of course, the angel wings and halos, how his father's kind of overlooking them. What we also did was we had him cremated when he passed away. So his biggest thing Josh wanted to do was actually race with his father. So we had a custom urn made that sits in the car that Josh drives. So his father's always with him when he races. So it's kind of sprouted from there. Kind of grew into a bigger thing than we thought it was going to be. We thought it was just going to be just us two. We already got emblems on quite a few cars, probably about 15 out there right now. We're helping sponsor about 3 of them. As it keeps getting bigger and bigger as time goes on, and we want to find a way to kind of put back in the community and kind of give back, basically. So that's when we were looking around for different organizations and.
Yes, sir. That's where I got involved because you contacted me through Dangerous Dan that you were a racing team and you wanted to wrap your car, and you were actually having difficulty getting any of the organizations out there, any traction, getting interested. They couldn't believe, I think, that you were going to go into your own back pocket and wrap your car, and you wanted to put them there, bigger than life to promote that veteran organization. As a veteran, I got to say thank you. Thank you very much. Are you a vet?
No, sir, I am not, unfortunately.
Are you a vet?
I am not. This is a give back piece for me.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
This is fantastic.
Yep.
Well, my grandfathers were my nephew, but I skipped the hatch on that one.
You didn't miss anything, trust me.
No, but yeah, we're actually looking for the reason why we originally contacted y'all is because we wanted something small, something more local, more familiar that could actually be beneficial from someone who's small like us. We're not a huge team. We don't have lots of money, lots of backing, and we actually found Cannon on one of your articles that you had posted. So
we actually have some pictures of the race car. Dick, if you can throw them up. While we're talking, I think that is awesome. Now, this is a family affair?
It's basically a family affair. It's we call him my adopted son. It's basically me and my adopted son. We also have Josh Looper. He's going to be the driver of the car this next year. We chose him as a driver because he is a veteran himself, so we couldn't find anyone that was better suited. We used to race with him out there at Highway 105, and he come across some difficulties where he had to sell off his car and it was unable to race as much. And through getting to know him and talk to him, we learned that when he came back, he had some of the issues that Cannon helps out with. He wasn't fully diagnosed with the PTSD, but his form of coping with everything was racing itself. So we couldn't find a more suited driver, a better person to put behind the wheel of that car.
What type of car is this? And where is it do you race? What type of racing is this?
The racing is going to be, this car here is strictly going to be the asphalt racetrack out at HMP.
HMP?
Houston Motorsports Park. I believe it's off of Westlake Houston Parkway. I have to look that one up. But it's the Texas Short Track Series is what they call it. It's an oval track. Way back today, it was a dirt track back in its time. But this car here is a 2002 Mercury Cougar, and it's basically going to be just eco stock class. So it's take a car, take the window out, take the dash off. Can't really do much tuning to it. It is kind of a very affordable class, entry level for racing.
So all you racing aficionados out there, I will make sure that I do get this year's racing schedule up so you can go out and see 4T4 tear up the track. Now, Austin,
Yep.
how did you two get involved here, and why does he have his car with your Cannon recovery all over it?
That's a question I ask myself all the time. Yeah, that's that whole connection that was divinely engineered. He reached out and we got chatting back and forth and asking some questions, and then hey, send me a logo, and let me know more about what you guys do, and hey, I got something coming, but he would hold the cards a little bit. He wouldn't tip his hand. And I was just like, I don't know what this guy's up to, but we've been engaging and kind of fast forward to the big surprise. I get these texts one afternoon or one evening, and there's that car, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah, it was very shocked, right, surprised, but it's also pretty humbling for a small town organization like we are. To come in contact with a group like 4T4 Racing, and be a part of what they believe in, what they do, and it's been great. I mean, had no idea that this was coming. We didn't do any preliminary bartering or any negotiations. He didn't ask for anything, and he just wants to make us a part of his team, and that's a pretty cool thing.
See, that is uncommon.
Yeah,
because usually when you see an organization or a logo on a race car or whatnot, they're the sponsor. But
Yeah.
that's not what's happening here, is it?
No, quite the opposite. Yeah, it's like they're carrying our logo on the car, and they're literally helping carry us and what we do for veterans in the community.
So what does Cannon Recovery? What is it, and what do you guys do?
Cannon is it's called Cannon Recovery Transitional Living and Support for Veterans. That's a lengthy name, but essentially what Cannon is, it's a house. It's a house, and we are trying to replicate living at home. Our veterans are all not all duly diagnosed, most of them, but it's or either PTSD or SUD, which is substance use disorder. And so it's, either or. They've been to these inpatient, treatment facilities. They've been through the VA. They've been through other private entities who are now able to service veterans through what's called the Mission Act. They've been in these sterile environments, gaining knowledge of understanding of what's going on with them, what's really happening between their ears, being equipped with coping mechanisms, skills, and basically a tool belt to navigate life. What happens more often than not is they leave these places where you're not allowed to, test this stuff out, and they go right back from that sterile environment to home or the environment they came from. And life hits them, like a 9-pound hammer, and it's right. The automatic default kicks in too quick, and they're right back in the mess that they were in. So what Cannon is, it's a home that it's there for, and it's in the name, transition. It's kind of like you get equipped, just like in the military. You get the stuff, you get the weapons and the gadgets and everything else. You got to go get battle tested. You got to see how it works. And that's essentially what we do here. They come and they live. They get to live in a nice, beautiful country house right now on 7 acres in a bass pond, and they get to live amongst their brothers where they're safe and they feel safe and they have that commonality. These guys have walked the same miles we've all walked, and they just get to live life. They get to go to school. They get to go to work. They get to get out in the community and kind of test these things out, because even while they're here, they're going to have bad days. And we want them to have bad days while they're here. That's the idea. So they know how to navigate those bad days in an environment that's going to promote success, right? So they, because when a veteran, we all know what happens when a veteran has a bad day when he's out by himself, right? And he's isolated himself. Statistics are there. It doesn't look good.
You can't argue with those statistics.
No, you can't. And that's not
a number of years ago, I got involved through our friend Ashley Taylor.
Yeah, I know Ashley.
Ashley, yeah. Ashley got me involved in the Military Veterans Peer Network.
Yes.
As a mentor. And I said, well, what is it that I actually need to do here? And she said, well, there are a plethora of services out there for veterans. And veterans with PTSD, substance abuse problems, things of that nature. But it's a one-size-fits-all.
Absolutely.
What a Military Veteran Peer Network Mentor does, what the program is supposed to do is match a mentor
Yep.
with a veteran and teach him those life skills and teach him those coping skills.
That's
And I think
exactly
I think that it's very important for places like yours, like County Recovery, that can provide that safe yet realistic living condition for the veteran. So we've armed them with all these tools, but we didn't show him how to implement those tools.
Exactly right. And you bring up a great point. We know if we're trying to replicate a home, then we have to keep our census, relatively low. I think at one point we've had 12 veterans on property at once, and that seems like a lot. But again, they're coming and going then on their own schedule. So in the evening time, it's about the only time everybody's all together. And there's a lot of that camaraderie and things like that. And we have, events and meetings at the house that everybody participates in. But I like what you mentioned too, is that because we keep our census low, we're able to meet the men where they are, and we're able to, provide strength-based support. We cannot. It makes no sense for us to put that one size fit all, put everybody in the same box, because it's not everybody's recovery is exactly like the next man. It's his own recovery, and we're here to support that and how it works for him. There's a lot of different ways to do that. There's a lot of ways to skin that cat, but we just help identify what these guys are good at and nurture that. And so keeping it low, we're able to do that way.
So is this a 501c? Is there a cost to the veterans? How does a veteran get hold of County Recovery and to get into your program?
So we are a 501c3, and that took a little bit of time, but we got there.
Yeah, it does.
And I'm glad that we got put through the ringer. There's a lot of organizations out there that will tag themselves as helping veterans and things like that. In fact, we had to get a national endorsement from the VFW to actually have the word veteran in our business name. And so I'm
that's
glad,
the reason you came to my attention.
Yeah, and so that was a gentleman named Dan West helped us get all that.
Dan's the man.
Yeah, and he had a great connection with my director of national outreach, Andrew Riddle. And so Andrew goes, I got this. He goes, I'll call Buddy. And so, 501c3. Now we have referral sources. I mentioned that there's a mission act that this administration had signed in, and that what that does is it's alleviated that bottleneck at the VA. And so private institutions can go out and service these veterans, give them that privatized care that is really good. And then so we network with all these groups, and so we'll actually capture a veteran, get them grounded safe. I don't want to say ship them off, but transport them to the inpatient place, and then capture them back on the back end for that transition piece. So we just word of mouth and different referral sources that way. There is a cost for the veteran, and the reason we do it that way is these guys pay rent. That rent, there's a little bit of ebb and flow to that, but anything that's handed out isn't taken seriously. These guys, we're trying to get them back to living life. Now we make it, a flat rate, and it includes, all the, extras that you're going to accrue if you have an apartment on your own.
Soap, toilet paper.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Ramen.
And so, but it starts to promote that idea that I need to, invest in myself. I need to take care of myself. I need to learn, not only the recovery piece of it, but the financial responsibility and everything else that comes on in life. Because a huge stressor is money, right? And so learn how to balance that stuff while you're here. And so there's no handouts. There's nothing at Cannon is a handout. It's a hand up.
Outstanding.
And everybody carries their own water.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Now, what's 4T4 Racing getting out of this by sponsoring, if you will, County Recovery? Is this
Absolutely
personal
nothing at
for
all.
you?
Just a way to give back to the community, especially to a veteran. They put their life on the line. There's nothing more honorable for us to be able to help out veterans. Because how safe would we be without them? So it's basically, we owe them everything. They gave up a lot. So
You guys make me feel like I want to go put my uniform back on.
Well, it's groups like 4T4 Racing that shows these guys that the community loves them. For a lot of years, for a better part of a decade, for some of these guys. Most of these guys are, early invasion, OIF, OEF, and so they've late 30s, early 40s, and they've been discharged for a while, but they've been just kind of isolated and not engaging in the community. And now you got an organization and a gentleman that's coming to them showing, hey, let's, come hang out with us. Let's try this out and have some fun, some good sober fun. And it starts to show them that there's some folks out there that genuinely care about them. And it gives them the opportunity to inject themselves into the community and to make friends and expand their networks. And there's a lot of good that is honestly a lot bigger than just the race itself, than just the car. The car is kind of like the icon of what's all happening here. But there's a much bigger thing at work here. And these guys have shown up to a couple things already. They're all chomping at the bit for these races to start. So there's a bigger picture at play.
There is, and this is one of the things that this program and myself as a veteran advocate try to stress to the veterans that I get in front of. Mm-hmm. Look, something inside of you told you to raise the right hand and serve your country. And you did, honorably, and you got out. You got a DD-214 and honorable discharge. That same thing that made you have the desire to serve didn't stop when you took off the uniform. No. And some of your problem maybe is that you're not engaging and being part of your community.
No.
Service to the country goes hand in hand with service to your community. But a lot of these guys, they get out and they are isolated. And you've probably seen it at Canton Recovery. Two veterans will sit there, talk about an experience that's shared, yep. But they can't talk about that experience with somebody that's not a veteran, that hasn't done what they've done, walked their walk.
All the time. Yeah.
The ability to get that veteran reintegrated into his community, transition him, if you will,
right,
is key to their success.
Absolutely.
And each one of these guys and gals coming out of the military service has a very unique set of skills. But coping in the community is not one of those skills that they teach you in the military. And no. It's been my experience that cookie cutter organizations usually do not excel at being able to show that veteran that the skills that they have
right.
translate into skills that the community needs. I'm not a religious man, but I'm a man of faith. And I tell people all the time, God gave you all the tools that you need to unscrew yourself up. So if you think you're screwed yourself up now, you have all the tools to unscrew yourself. Of course, I say it more colorfully.
Sure.
But somebody has to teach them how to use these tools.
That's it.
Somebody has to teach them that you, as an individual, are valued for your skill set, not just because you exist.
No, exactly right. And you bring up another great point. We do have clients or residents that live on property, but what Cannon's we like to think of ourselves, we're bigger than that too. We're a hub. We often invite and have things for the community, veterans in the community to come out and be. Sometimes you're a veteran just doing your 9 to 5 and raising kids and all that kind of stuff, and you need a minute, right? Come hang out on the front porch for a while, and it's good for the guys who are living there, seeing that veteran come and hang out, because you know what, they're watching a man that is getting it done. That's living life, but yet he's able to navigate the waters, right, when things get rough. And for all of us, again, I'm a man of faith. Faith is tough, but seeing is believing, right? And they see this guy, and he is getting it done, and he is living a quote unquote successful life, and that's very motivating for these guys. And then that peer-to-peer that you talked about, there's not much stronger. We do psychotherapy and even bringing on equine therapy now, and we have all the clinical gadgets and components.
Are you working with Hen Resources?
No, we're doing it internally. We have my wife and I have had horses for years, and I grew up that way, and so when we decided, we're gonna bring this to these guys ourselves, in house, and so we've got. Well, I'm not gonna tell you how many horses we have. We have too many, but if anybody needs a horse, let me know. But yeah, so we're incorporating that. But again, the strongest thing is that, like you said, that peer to peer, and there's a bond there that it's unbreakable. It doesn't matter. I mean, it transcends a Marine Corps, Army, Navy, Air Force. Doesn't matter. It's all the same.
Well, Marines are easy. You just give them some crayons. They're happy.
I knew that
Sorry,
was coming.
Jerry. Sorry. I just had coffee with my Marine buddy, Jerry. And I felt so bad because, we got coffee, but I forgot his Crayolas. And it's like, so he didn't get to have breakfast.
That's one of my favorite things to do. The porch is where we spend a lot of our time, and it's fun to because at first, as a civilian, you have to, kind of tread lightly, and after a while, you're kind of included and brought into this world that you don't know as a civilian. You just can't grasp it. But once you kind of get in and are brought in and start to understand the intricacies and how they all operate, the inter branch rivalry it's unbelievable. Well, it's a lot of fun.
You see, branches can do that within themselves, interbranch and so forth. But if somebody, if a civilian doesn't,
no. You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a bunch of brothers. We can talk about ourselves, but better not from the outside coming in. But what I've learned strategically to do is just drop a match and then back out and let them go.
Okay, I'll say this since I ragged on Jerry being in the Marines. Marines tell me that Army is an acronym because the Army loves its acronyms. Do you know what Army stands for?
Lay it on me.
Ain't ready for Marines yet.
That's good. I'm going to have to drop that match a little bit later today.
Yeah, we got a lot of them. So you were saying that the guys are biting at the bit to come out to the races to see you race. Are these guys? Do you get these guys to do things for the pit crew or whatnot? What do you do with them when they come out there?
Well, this car hadn't actually been on the racetrack yet. We got the first test and tune is going to be this Saturday, actually.
Coming up.
And the first race, I believe, is in April. I think you'll have the dates posted. But we had a chance we had them out at the track last year with our other cars, so we hung out with them then. We've hung out with them at the Lost Cajun out there in Cypress. Just a really, really cool bunch. I mean, they're a lot of fun, go-getters. So we'd like to eventually, maybe see if they want to work on the car, they're more than happy to. One of the other cars we're actually working on is going to be a two-seater. So they can actually come out and ride with us and have fun.
Oh,
and all
wow.
that kind of stuff.
So that would be a good. Now,
It's just
you did tell me I could drive it.
just absolutely, absolutely.
We have to take a break here, so we're gonna take a pause. Maybe do an announcement. Maybe check the weather. We'll do something. So hang with us. We'll be right back with more with Counter Recovery and 4T4 Racing. You're listening to Veterans Air on your Lone Star Community Radio.